So we got a new update. Update 8. The Babel update. Really just named because they have added a whole lot of new language support into the game. Check that out. Oh yeah, all there. Good stuff. There has also been a number of new animation changes. All of the bows are now updated to actually show, what they look like when you're using them rather than just being nothing. Great start to a 4-cell run. That actually was a pretty good start to a 4-cell run, to be fair. And it's pretty rare that you're able to line that up so perfectly. But aside from a few new bow animations and language support, there is also a nifty new scarf trailing behind the hero character here. So you can relive your days of playing the PS2 Shinobi. Or if you're like me and had to process a box filled with Spawn comics today. Fun fact, my job has absolutely nothing to do with Spawn, or comics in general, really. Also, the fact that I managed to get this many elites right in a row and killed in the same way is incredible. What luck. Yeah, it's kind of weird, ain't that? And then there's another legendary, because this game is just incredible. Anyway, this is post-commentary because, the casual runs are for live commentary. This one's a bit more of an official update look, even though there's not too much going on here. It's really just the scarf and a few new animations. And I don't make an effort of going through looking at every single one of the individual bow animations, but if you're interested, there has been an excellent showcase created by Arofrog on YouTube, Arofrog. I will also link it in the description, shows off every single one of the things, as well as one of the other new neat things, the ability to use barnacles outside of their natural habitat. They float by balloons, even they're not hooked up to the ceiling. You'll actually see a little bit of that near the end of the video, I think, but I don't really show that off too much. Yeah, link in the description. Check out that guy. He does a lot of good Dead Cell content. Uncommented if you, hate listening to me jabber on for hours and hours on end. So, anyway, aside from that, this video is just going to be a regular old 4-cell run. The strategy here was that I've been having some pretty good luck, especially on the impromptu secret streams. That toxic cloud I absolutely had to get the second I saw there. Not only for the extra health, but because that can line up a lot of pretty good synergies here. Because I am going for brutality. It's a brutality run. And in the previous streams, I managed to even get a rusty sword run done mostly using cluster grenades. And I'm not going to say that it was accurate to what you would expect a 4-cell rusty sword run to be, but what do you want out of me? I'm only human. And the idea here would be focus severely. Usually I kind of discount the burst damage of grenades because I'm not a huge fan of sending out a lot of damage and then, waiting, sending out a lot of damage again. It's one of the main issues that I had with skills way back in the day before they changed that up. I don't even know how I could not take damage in that circumstance. And these days with efficiency, keeping a turret out at all points in time, so it's just constantly attacking regardless of what you're doing, is kind of the optimal way, at least in my opinion, to deal with a lot of parts of the game. However, the final boss of the game, the Hand of the King, does push turrets off the edge, so I think you could start to get you'd have a better time fighting. Especially if you grab something like a torch, which I grabbed there, which can enable a lot of good synergies and is, of course, brutality scaling, unlike something like pyrotechnics, and doesn't have the wait time of something like, I was going to call it Inferno Blast. God, what is it called? Flame Torrent. Jeez. Inferno Blast would be a good name for it, though. And then it's also a, real weapon, unlike, say, a firebrand, which is really just to enable flame synergy and not really do much damage by itself. What I'm saying here is that the torch is a real weapon, and I think that utilized with a couple of bombs that has fire synergy, you can get some real damage off of that. And I think it would be an excellent build for 4-cell mode, if you can get it. And there's the kicker. It is very fickle, especially with the lack of money you got. There's no guarantee anymore that you will be getting fully upgraded items, even if you have the fort fully upgraded yourself. So you might have to spend more money in between areas or just live with a less powerful version of... Come on, go down already, Tracker. Live with a less powerful version of a bomb or a main hand weapon. This could actually be pretty nice, because I do have Flame Synergy also on the Toxic Cloud, but I think that the Torch is probably going to do me a bit better in the long run. It also comes with 2 Brutality. But, yes, you can kind of see where the issue comes in, where even if you want to do a specific type of run, it ultimately all comes down to the cards, and stock change can only be used 3 times, even if you do manage to come into a whole lot of money for whatever reason. Maybe you get a whole bunch of legendary oil swords, like I got way at the beginning there, but I somehow doubt that's going to be the case for a lot of people. And like I said, regardless of what you want to do, it's all luck of the draw. That wasn't really a jump for joy, I just like doing the wall climb. It's fun. And I've been doing a whole bunch of the casual runs in the new game file that I miss being able to run on the wall all the time. Even though I now have that in that file again. Whatever, anyway. So the problem would be that if I got some decently upgraded cluster bombs right at the start here, this run would be going amazing. But it's... As of right now, you can already see that I'm sort of pivoting my plans here. Except Phaser doesn't want to move anywhere. Kind of pivoting my plans here towards more of the, I would say almost traditional sort of brutality type build in these later updates. Having just tons and tons of damage over time. Because you always with brutality have a lot of damage over time options here. A lot of the grenades do... You can get bleed damage out of Frost. You can get... The flamethrower turret is scaling. Obviously, you got the torch here that I'm using, as well as Flame Torrent, as well as Firebrands. There's a lot of good options. A Hokuto's bow, which buffs that up, is also brutality scaling. The Alchemic Rifle, fantastic pickup if you can get it. Blood Sword right there. You can see there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff is what I'm getting at for damage over time. And I think that if you can't have turrets doing damage constantly around you, you can have enemies just be taking damage from effects instead. And it's almost effectively the same thing, in some ways a little bit better. But again, it depends on what you're getting. It's so much stuff. That was real close from that Grenadier or Bombardier there. Happens a lot, man. Always got to be on your toes. Always got to be ready for anything to happen, especially in this area where you have a whole bunch of teleporting enemies and projectile users. Well, anyway, as I see it... Oh, speaking, there's the Alchemic Carbine now, this game. But yeah, now I have a full suite of damage over time stuff. Everything scaling with brutality, with the exception of the Toxic Cloud. Some pretty redundant stuff here, though, too. If I can just get him to keep falling off the edge there, that would be ideal. Aside from that, you always got to remember that elite phasers are pretty much the fastest enemy in the game, and they have virtually no telegraphing of their attack. They will just come up and smack you immediately. I did manage to not get hit by that. Kamikaze bat there, so I say that getting hit by 3 traps was a total success. What are you talking about? It's great. So the ideal here, if I was going to pick anything, would be fully pivot into damage over time stuff. Hokuto's bow would be amazing. Like I said, grabbing an ice grenade with the causes bleeding after they break out of that. That's 2-for-1 effects. And that's a lot of damage over time that you can get. I have beaten the game with that before. Hokuto's bow, yeah. Especially makes that potent combination. Or if I could just get like 2 really nice, really powerful, maybe infantry grenades, but preferably, and especially now that I've taken Fireworks Technician, I still like calling it Artificer. I prefer the name Artificer. That would mean that I would prefer Cluster Grenade, because the main drawback of using Cluster Grenade is that you get huge burst damage at the cost of having huge damage, or huge cooldown. And when you get pretty high, and you will get pretty high with brutality in 4-cell mode. There's a lot of good options for... Come on. I mean, I guess he didn't notice me, so that made that pretty easily, but that's not really the plan that I was going for here. Yeah, a lot of curse chests, a lot of opportunities to get necklaces, so you can, you know, maybe potentially get up to 4 of a single stat by the time you get to the castle in one. You generally don't have any problem grabbing stats in 4-cell mode like this. Of course, that doesn't make it easy or anything. You need those stats, absolutely. Hey, I like that the elite there pushed the cannibal off the edge. It's like he probably had a better chance killing me, let's be honest here. Elite Inquisitor. And hey, the whole problem of Toxic Cloud not being something that scales with brutality has been solved. And also, even more flame synergy, so I could probably, in good conscience, finally drop the torch and maybe pick up something that gives me better scaling with brutality. I don't know, maybe. I do think that this is a very potent combination, but ultimately, if I was really serious about doing 4-cell mode, I would probably... Well, ultimately, it's kind of a... Go with pyrotechnics or something instead, sure, and then turrets. But I think it's ultimately kind of a luck of the draw sort of thing. Like, what are the good items you can get at the start, and what do they scale with? And then keep those... It's not worth it. Then, you know, keep those as long as possible. If you need to re-pivot again, I'm sure you can probably find some similar build. For example... Well, I mean, the turrets are pretty much always good, so if you're going tactics, you can. The turrets is always an option, regardless of what you're doing. You can change from bows if you're not getting any good spells like pyrotechnics or maybe a firebrand. Obviously, here what I wanted was a decently powerful melee weapon that maybe caused some sort of effect, and then a powerful grenade. But then, since all I'm getting is damage over time, you can change the damage over time. Survival can either be ranged weapons, I think, which are some of the best that you can get, or you can go powerful melee weapons, and maybe like crushers, I think, are really effective too. As far as turrets go, even in survival, you can get some pretty decent turrets. Crushers can be amazing, especially because they cannot be destroyed by the hand or any other enemy, and they can also do a lot of damage, and the fact that they hit so slowly can be used nicely with ice synergy for, what is it, 175% extra damage. And it's like you just kind of have to get a read of how the RNG is treating you, and then figure it out from that point. Yeah, the working theory here is if I'm having really bad, if I'm having really bad luck insofar as, yeah, I looked at that and I'm like, wait a second, I'm at full health, I have no malaise, I don't actually need that. Cool. But yeah, the working theory here is that it's not worth scrounging up a minimal amount of gold from every single area. And I went to the ramparts here because I guess I didn't mention this at the start, but I went to the ramparts because it was shown in the picture for the update. You saw it in the upper right corner at the start of the video. It's nothing new. I've gone through it a couple times now. I don't see anything new in there. I'm assuming that either the Babel update is really just supposed to be a very tiny thing. I don't know. But yeah, 4-cell mode. I think ultimately, if you were to ask me at this point, like, what's the best build to beat 4-cell mode, I'd just say, whatever the game decides to hand you, and just try to work with it as best you can. Each of the 3 stats, like I said, I gave, like, what, a good 5 different types of builds out there. Go ranged survival, crusher-based survival, tactics with the spells, bows, and some sort of turret, damage over time brutality, or heavy grenade brutality. And just see what you can get out of that. Obviously, you can make way more builds than that. Combine stats to try to get like a powerful brutality scaling weapon, but also be able to use good turrets along with that. But it's reading the crowd. That's as far as that's pretty much what I'm coming down to as far as figuring out how to do 4-cell mode. And I think that you can kind of see that even be borne out in some of the more recent videos where I'm trying to just do casual runs at this point. A, syncs real nice with that Alchemic Carbine and that Toxic Cloud, so pivot right on that. I was just saying that I was thinking about getting rid of the torch now that I got the fire grenade anyway. As well as the legendary. There's so much fire synergy here is what I'm saying. Well, there's so much ways to cause fire is what I'm saying. Yeah, I tried to do like the specialized runs, and the game is just trying to pull that away from me as much as possible. And I don't blame them. I think that you can still easily beat the game with a level 1 weapon. You just got to be real good at it. But it's like there is a lot more pull towards like you gotta keep with the game's flow rather than forcing yourself into a specific run. You can't just say, I like using, I don't know, Death Orb, and I'm only going to ever use Death Orb. That will get you killed on these high cell difficulties, no doubt. So it's interesting. And I know that, and at the same time, it's just like, it's kind of frustrating too, but, you know, I'm just sitting on the sidelines ultimately. I have nothing to do with the development of the game. So I'm curious as to if Motion Twin is going to continue to take the game in this direction, maybe roll back a little bit of the gold problems, a little bit of the Foundry update, or maybe that was the intent the entire time. Point is, as always, Dead Cells is an exciting game to look at, to analyze as much as it is to play, as it gets developed over time. It's one of the things I love about it. So anyway, we got the whole Babel update here. I mean, this is a pretty minimal amount of content for, allegedly being update 8. There's not too much to say as far as, like, what the Babel update could possibly mean, like, in any sort of context. I was doing so well, and now I'm doing so bad. The malaise is really getting up there. Health is actually fine. Brutality tend to stay pretty good for that, and I have two items that give me damage reduction and a pretty... amulets are good, too. But still not feeling... But I mean, hey, 4-cell difficulty, you get the malaise, etc., and so on. It's, you're never safe. Health means nothing when you got high malaise. So yeah, there's the clock tower is a tower. There's that big tower, which I think is supposed to be the castle that you always see on the title screen. There's the observatory in the background. That is kind of tower-like in the hand fight. I don't know, maybe that's gonna be maybe the observatory is gonna be the last thing, and yeah. I have absolutely no idea what the final boss could possibly be. I speculated before that the collector would be the obvious thing. I mean, all right, I think I've said this before, but it's like, okay, boss cells, they literally alter reality around you, making enemies tougher and more common, and now empowered with incredible disease-causing potentials. And you've been giving that dude literally hundreds, if not thousands, of regular cells throughout the entire game. It would make sense if he suddenly transformed into the Hulk, like right at the end, or revived the Tomb Raider, the tutorial lady, and then did like a Nornstein Smough duel fight. But who knows? The easiest thing to say is that yeah, the Babel update is probably referring to the Tower Babel, referring to the fracturing of languages, and hence the number of languages, or whatever. The symbolism is clear, is what I'm saying. Oh man. I still have not even tried. I don't even know if I've ever taken Magnetic Grenade in a 4-cell run yet. That's just... It's like, okay, this can be wacky, but it will also get me killed. But it could be interesting, but it will definitely get me killed. But it could get me killed in a fun way, but I will die. It has the ability to attack enemies through walls. That's pretty unique. But then you look at the amount of elites you're fighting, you look at the amount of trackers you're fighting, and it just says bad idea to me. I will say this though, I have been hey, although that is like a... Actually, I don't know how it stacks, if that's 4 times damage or if that's 3 times damage. Yeah, would it be 100% on 100%? Probably not, because other affixes don't work that way, but... What if it did? It's a special one. Anyway, no, absolutely not. I don't know why that item keeps haunting me. It won't go away. I mean, I keep throwing it in the dumpster, and then it reappears on the desk where I record these videos. Ice Grenade's pretty good. Toxic Cloud is nice and everything, but you get that bleed damage, and you get, and I already have a good source of poison, so now you get the whole round robin of every single effect. Well, a lot of effects that you can throw on here. There's still plenty more to get. After all, they got Mark from the Hokuto's bow. What else? Getting bind. That was one of the things when I was doing a brutality focused run, kept forgetting to mention. The bind ability is pretty much like having a kind of bad version of the wolf trap. It does prevent enemies from turning around, as well as doing a little damage over time itself, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, ultimately I don't take Ice Grenade nearly as much as I probably should. It's definitely a weapon that I should put on the short list for doing a showcase run of, because I feel like I could use a little bit more appreciation for that thing. It's definitely got a lot of good stuff going on. Hey, speaking of which, right there. Oh, it's called the Root Grenade now, because yeah, sure, why not? Wow, and that is a nice cluster grenade too. Unfortunately, like I said, it's pretty much completely unupgraded. It just has the most basic, simple upgrade on it. And it's gonna cost just $1 million. Wow, right through the spikes there, eh? Well, that's your standard sort of. That's a standard sort of clock tower run for me, I guess. What are you gonna do? What are you going to do about it? Continue watching, I hope. So anyway, I think that right now, and aside from kind of checking out that cherry, which was the main reason that I came down to that section in particular, not clean, which is unfortunate. I would say that this run is going pretty good. Hey, there's another cherry. This run is going pretty good. However, I feel like I'm getting too much malaise, and I've already used the flask charge and everything. And, you know, forget even affording it, but I wouldn't have any opportunity to buy a flask charge from the shop anyway, so it's getting a little dicey. I always say that I usually need about 2 flask charges to beat the hand proper on 4 flask mode. Yes. You always have 4 flask charges. That's not really even a thing. But, yeah, about 2 flask charges is good to beat the hand. I can usually manage it there if I have a decently powerful run. Oh, it's the Sadist Stiletto. These names, man. But that's, spike boots are good. You're pretty much always getting the, I should probably also give Ice Shock more of a chance too, because the oil synergy can actually get a pretty decent, you know, if you have any sort of ability to throw down oil, you can get quite a bit of damage off of that, but, also the slowdown, which is nice, but, Anyway, boots, yeah, you can kick away the projectiles from the hand, enemies are pretty much always attacking you, so you're always getting criticals. You can stun lock enemies pretty well. It's one of my favorite items, and despite having a legendary version of something that gets constant criticals, this is not really much of a downgrade, if it's a downgrade at all, in terms of damage, so I don't know. I think I made the right choice there. Hard to say, though. Yeah, one of the things I also definitely wanted to try for in this run was to see if I could rush it a little bit, go a little bit fast. Ooh, fun stuff. Yeah, you can see some of the new animations for ice bows. Again, check out Arofrog down in the description. Link to his showcase for every single one of the now changed animations for bows and whatnot. It all look like what they actually look like. Yeah, I was getting a little too panicky with the old malaise count there. That was a good dodge from that ball and chain. Wow. Hey. Ooh. Yeah, getting a little too panicky, so I decided to blow a flask charge, and as long as I don't do another one, which is generally not how it goes. The fire synergy, I just think, is more important right now than the really nice stuff you get out of an ice grenade. Hey, it just time is a flat circle, isn't it? Anyway, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. I do have to kind of make sure that I did have to kind of make sure that I threw out the flame grenade first, and then the cluster grenade for actual damage, but, hey, what are you gonna do? Yeah, at this point, it's only about 25 minutes into the episode, which is not bad at all for Force Cell. I mean, I cannot imagine getting it underneath, like, a half hour or so, because the game has gotten pretty large, but compared to the usual runs that I have, where it's like 45 minutes at this point, when I'm at this part of the game, I'm at least managing it. However, it's not entirely ideal because, like I said, this is, especially there. Yeah, I managed to get down to no malaise. Well, one malaise. And, only 2 flask cards used, which is not great, but isn't awful. It's workable. It's a situation that you can work with, and then it just entirely undone. Just undone immediately. I should have just waited for the heart to pop. Which sounds much more gruesome than I meant. I meant the YOLO mutation to activate. Ah, well. And yeah, if I'm already screwing up that much, there's no reason to stick around this area anymore that I need to. Especially because I don't have... One of the problems, especially with the Timekeeper, when you're playing for keeps, as it were, is the shuriken attack. If you have a shield, you can deal with that easy. If you have enough DPS, you can also deal with that easily. But I'm still terrible at dodging the shuriken. Not a problem, except that does inflict you with a whole ton of malaise, and that's the real problem. That said, it does seem in this circumstance that I have some pretty good deeps. And there, it's already going bad. And increasingly poorly. We got 2 blast charges left, man. Still telling you, survival mutation where you just kill X amount of enemies, and, well, that's really not ideal, and pretty much had to go there unless I really was going to use the... Tempting, but they do lose out on a lot of synergies if I do that. Yeah, I really do think they should have a survival mutation where you kill X amount of enemies and get a flask charge or something. Because vampirism, the mutation as it is terrible. It's just absolutely awful. No point in ever taking it, in my opinion. And then the castle, even if you are trying to go fast, which now it just feels like rushing through so I can try to take as little damage as possible more than any sort of overall goal that I was trying to accomplish. Castle's always based on, the luck of the draw. It's a very, very large area, and you have to, fight at least 2 of the mini-bosses, but first you have to find 2 of the mini-bosses, and then you have to find the exit, and how quickly you can do that is never the same. I mean, the only strategy that I've come up with, at least in my own playthroughs here, is that you're just looking for a big hallway. Yeah, waiting for the bombs to get off cooldown so I can do this. Kablow. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking for a big hallway, and that's about it, and that's just the exit. It says nothing about where you're gonna go fight the mini-bosses or whatever, and then you actually need to fight the mini-bosses. Oh, come on! No! Yep, this was the point when I just said, I mean, first off, crawling up into the spikes is just incredible, for one. And 2, yeah, that sets me down to 1 HP, so whatever, I got that heart. I'll get killed, I'll clear out I'll actually get more health back, and be free of the the malaise that I currently have here. And that's the real reason why you take the heart mutation at the very start of 4-cell mode. And honestly, I'm still not... I think I'm becoming less and less enthused about that because... you clear out 5 points of mutation when you use a flask charge. But when you get revived due to, you know, heart usage here, you almost have to use a flask charge because unless you're in a situation where you have a food shop or something, or you're using alienation, you have some sort of backup healing, because otherwise you're so low on health that you might as well just say use the flask charge anyway, lower 5 points of malaise, because if you're getting hit for more than... you got 10 malaise here. If you're getting hit for more than that, it's like... if you're gonna be getting hit 5 more times, it's... I don't know. Point is, I'm falling out of love. I fell in love with the heart mutation again. I'm falling out of love with the heart mutation again. Is it good? Is it bad? Who knows? All I know is that I'm using it right now, and it is probably going to save my bacon to a certain extent. I mean, I'm still only going to be left with 1 flask charge and no real way to heal. So, yeah. I mean, I could go for some sort of auto... face the wrong direction there. Damn. Just a little too fast on the draw for me there. I mean, I had the roll all queued up and ready to go in my mind, and still utterly failed it. Ah, well. Yeah, I could go for some sort of utterly insane alienation plan where I curse myself by, like, breaking down that gold door you saw with the cells behind it, lowering myself to maybe 1 or 2... no, there we are. Yeah, lower myself to maybe 1 or 2 points of curse left, blow through the first phase of the king fight, and then heal on his minions. But that is... you know, I've made some pretty ballsy plays in my time. That's a little too much even for me. Prevent myself from getting killed anymore if I get knocked into the traps, the spikes around there, because I tend to have that happen. He's got just enough hang time every single time he does his bum rush move that I'll still find myself getting hit by it, even though I fought this guy like 500 times. Nice, face the wrong direction again. Just kick him in the butt constantly. At least malaise is something that I'm not too worried about. I mean, I'm not going to say that I'm not worried at all, but I doubt if I get hit 10 times, I'm probably going to die more than, you know, get killed by infection here. Yep, just a lot of damage over time. Wasn't even able to get anywhere near the correct sort of good dodge there. Wasn't even able to get anywhere near the sort of crazy huge cluster grenade damage that I was looking for there. And now I just keep whiffing on stuff, which is worse than having a bad build in a lot of ways. And this isn't even a bad build. It is a pretty decent build, but still. Oh, getting hit so much. Yep. Ah, well. Brutality I still hold as a good combo, but you gotta be able to use it and not get hit that many times in the hand fight. So, this is a tactics run, and I specifically brought in a barnacle here. See, there's this cool new little animation. It's got little pink balloons. That's adorable. If there's nothing for it to hook onto, it'll just float in midair and attack enemies as such. Really should have taken out those ugly worms immediately. That came back to destroy me there. Really should have taken Tough Nut, but instead I took Emergency Triage, so, you know. Heavy tactics. You take a lot of damage, you deal a lot of damage. As you do. I was so close to not getting hit by that. Yeah, it's like I'm not getting hit any less in this fight, but at the same time it's going significantly better just because I had flask charges coming in here. Also, again, one of the most adorable turrets in the entire game. I love it. Barnacle turret is now my friend. I mean, I always say, just have some sort of silly head accessory, or, well, hat, I suppose is what you call that. And I will love you forever. Well, it's a good thing that whole 1 HP mechanic is still in the game, otherwise I would have been totally killed there. One more shot for good measure. Thanks, Barnacle. I love you. So yeah, at least end this episode with a proper 4-cell victory, if nothing else. This is also Heavy Turret, Barnacle, Ice Bow, Pyrotechnics. It's one of my favorite combinations. It's just great overall. Get a little bit more Ice Bow action there because, again, it looks fantastic now. And that'll do it. See you next time there's some sort of update to the Babel. I guess we'll have to see what.